Imagine finding out that the smartest scientists on the planet are offing themselves one by one. The laws of physics have stopped working, and the stars in the sky just start blinking at you like a freaking code. Now imagine finding out that all of it, every single bit, traces back to one woman who made a phone call to outer space 60 years ago. Yeah, that's the kind of show we're dealing with here. Three Body Problem is Netflix's big brain sci-fi series based on the book by Liu Cixin. It's got alien invasions, quantum physics, a virtual reality death game, and a full-on doomsday cult. And it all starts with a girl watching her dad die in 1960s China. Buckle up. The first episode kicks off in Beijing, 1966, right in the middle of the Cultural Revolution. We're at Tsinghua University, and a crowd of students is dragging professors onto a stage to publicly humiliate them. One of those professors, Zhetai, a physics professor, and his daughter, baby Wenjie, is standing in the crowd watching this happen. Now, these students aren't just heckling. They're accusing Wenjie's dad of teaching counter-revolutionary physics. His crime? Teaching the theory of relativity, because apparently Einstein helped America build the atomic bomb, so relativity is now political treason. The Big Bang Theory? Also a crime. Why? Because if time had a beginning, that leaves room for God, and God is not on the party's approved list. Wenjie's dad doesn't back down. They ask him if God exists, and this absolute madman tells them that science hasn't proven it either way. Jeez. In this political climate, that's basically a death sentence, and that's exactly what it becomes. They bring his own wife, Shaolin, onto the stage, and she publicly denounces him, her own husband, right in front of their daughter. The crowd beats Yi Zhetai to death while baby Wenjie screams. Holy crap, we are 5 minutes in. Cut to present-day London. A detective named Da Shi is investigating the death of Dr. Sadiq Mohammed, a cosmologist who was basically a lock for the next Nobel Prize in physics. The guy mutilated himself and scrawled a countdown on the walls. Da Shi's partner says there's no history of mental illness, no previous suicide attempts, just like the others. Others? Yeah, scientists are killing themselves all over the world. That's comforting. Meanwhile at Oxford, we meet Saul and his mentor, Vera Yi. They're working on a particle accelerator, and the experiments are producing results that make zero sense. Every major accelerator on the planet is spitting out impossible data. The physics of the last 60 years? Apparently wrong. All of it. Vera looks at Saul and asks him if he believes in God. Not a great sign from your mentor. Shortly after, Vera drowns herself in a Cherenkov tank. Just like that. Now we meet the rest of the gang. The Oxford Five are at a pub for karaoke night, because apparently that's how physicists cope. There's Jin, a theoretical physicist and the brain of the group. There's Augie, a nanotech genius who started her own company. There's Snack King, who literally named his crisp company Jack's Snacks and won't shut up about how it's the third highest selling crisps in the UK. And there's Lovesick Will, a physics teacher who clearly still hung up on Jin. These five studied together at Oxford. They're tight. They're also terrified because their friend just killed herself and nobody can explain why the laws of physics are falling apart. Jin puts it perfectly when she calls the accelerator results Alice in Wonderland. But here's where it gets weird. Augie has been seeing something that nobody else can see. A countdown, floating in her vision, ticking down all the time. She's been to a neurologist, no explanation. After the pub, Augie steps outside for a smoke and meets a strange woman. This is Psycho Tatiana, and she's unsettling from the jump. Tatiana knows about the countdown. She knows exactly how much time Augie has left, and she tells Augie to shut down her nanofiber lab before it hits zero, because nothing good happens when it does. Then she tells Augie to look at the sky at midnight tomorrow and ask if the universe has ever winked at her. Augie is rattled. She calls Saul, drags him out to a dark field the next night, and tells him to just watch. No details, no context, pure scientific observation. Saul, who is completely out of it, agrees. At midnight, the stars start blinking. Not twinkling, blinking. On and off. Every star in the sky flickering in unison. Saul watches this happen and immediately realizes it's not random, it's a code. Not Morse, but a pattern. Just numbers. Augie is terrified. Saul is terrified. The universe just winked. Elsewhere, up on a London rooftop, ice-cold Wade and Da Shi are watching the same thing. Wade is the head of some shadowy intelligence agency that most governments report to, and he's been tracking the scientists' deaths. When Da Shi asks what the flickering stars are, Wade calmly tells him they're looking at the enemy. This is bad. Now, while all that chaos is happening in the present, let's rewind back to the 1960s China. Baby Wenjie has been sent to a labor camp in Inner Mongolia. There, a worker named Bai Mulin gives her a banned Western book called Silent Spring about how humans are destroying the environment. When the book is discovered by a commander, Wenjie refuses to give up Bai Mulin's name. That decision earns her a trip to prison, where she nearly dies. But then 2 military officers show up and offer her a deal. They've read one of her astrophysics papers, and they need someone with her specific brain. They take her to a remote military base with a massive radar dish in the mountains, Red Coast Base. There's a catch, though. Given her political status, if she enters, she will never leave. Baby Wenjie doesn't hesitate. She tells them she'll stay for the rest of her life. Inside Red Coast, Wenjie watches her first test transmission and immediately figures out what nobody told her. The emissions are modulated. Frequency modulation isn't needed for weapons, but it is necessary for communication. This base isn't building missiles, it's sending messages to whatever might be listening. Smart girl, dangerous answer. Back in the present, Dashi digs deeper into the mystery. He's tracking a VR headset that keeps showing up connected to the dead scientists. He also follows a rich recluse named Mike Evans who showed up to Vera's funeral in a helicopter and then vanished over the Atlantic. Dashi's satellite lost him. Wade makes it clear that his satellites don't malfunction on their own, so someone is actively hiding Evans. Interesting. At Vera's home, Jin visits Wenjie, who is Vera's mother. The old woman is gutted but composed. She gives Jin the VR headset Vera has been obsessively playing before she died. Jin puts it on and suddenly she's standing in front of a giant pyramid on an alien world. The game welcomes her to level 1. And yeah, that's where we're left. Scientists are dying, physics is broken, the stars are sending coded messages, some shadow organization is pulling strings, and Jin just strapped a dead woman's VR headset to her face and teleported to another planet. Trust me, it gets worse. Before we get to that alien planet, let's talk about Augie. She walks into her lab for a major test. Her team has been working on nanofiber technology for 7 years, and today they finally demonstrate it. A synthetic diamond is raised into a lattice of nanofibers, threads 3,000 times finer than human hair, invisible to the naked eye, and strong as steel. The fiber slices clean through the diamond like it's made of butter. Everyone in the room is celebrating. Augie just made history, and then she shuts the whole thing down. Right there, in front of her entire team, she orders the project killed. Development stops. Done. Why? Because Psycho Tatiana told her the countdown would stop if she quit working. And it did. The countdown is gone. But now her board wants to fire her, and she can't exactly explain that the stars told her to do it. Meanwhile, Dashi pulls Augie in for a chat and shows her something wild. Remember Tatiana from outside the pub? Dashi has the CCTV footage. Augie is on camera, standing in the alley talking. But Tatiana? She's not there. Completely scrubbed from the footage. Dashi's tech team couldn't find a single trace of manipulation. The only proof she existed? Augie's cigarette was unlit in one frame and lit in the next. She didn't light it herself. Her lighter was broken. Someone was there. Someone who can erase themselves from security cameras. Dashi also drops a nasty detail. Augie isn't the only scientist who's seen a countdown. Professors, AI researchers, physicists, a couple dozen of them around the world. And every single one either stopped working or ended up dead. Jeez. Cut to the VR game. Jin puts on the headset and enters as Copernicus. She meets the Count of the West, a pompous royal character, and his silent companion. Follow her, a young girl who tags along everywhere. The Count tells Jin her mission is to solve the riddle of this world. Jin has no idea what that means, yet. The game world is beautiful, but horrifying. There are two types of eras. Stable eras, where one sun hangs in the sky and civilization thrives, and chaotic eras, where the sun goes haywire. Temperatures swing to extremes and entire populations get wiped out. To survive the chaos, the people dehydrate. Their bodies flatten into thin husks that can be stored and rehydrated when stability returns. Jin watches followers shrivel up into what looks like a paper cutout of a person. If one of us survives, we all survive. That line is going to matter later. The Count presents his prediction to Emperor Zhao, claiming a new stable era is coming. Jin calls it out. His method is the I Ching, divination, not real science. The Emperor ignores her. They rehydrate the masses, and then a second sun appears. The temperature plummets, and Civilization 137 is obliterated by extreme cold. Everyone dies. The game tells Jin she didn't save them, but she did prove that science beats mysticism. On to level 2. Snack King also tries the VR headset. He lasts about 4 seconds before a character chops his head off. He tries again, head off again. The game is indistinguishable from reality. You can smell the air, taste blood, feel the cold. Jin and Snack King both agree this technology is at least 50 years ahead of anything that exists, maybe 150. And this is what Vera was obsessively playing before she died. Not suspicious at all. Elsewhere, lovesick Will finally tells Snack King the truth. He has stage 4 pancreatic cancer. It's already spread to his liver and lungs. Median survival time, 2 to 6 months. Snack King, being Snack King, absolutely refuses to accept this. He wants to fly Will to Switzerland, New York, anywhere with better doctors. Will shuts him down. I'm too far gone, mate. Snack King fires back that Will always gives up on everything. He quits physics, he gave up on Jin, he's not giving up on his own life. The scene is brutal. These two clearly love each other. Now let's rewind back to the 1960s. At Red Coast Base, baby Wenjie has figured out something brilliant. The base has been transmitting signals into space for years with no response. The signal is too weak, but Wenjie discovered that the sun can act as a natural amplifier. Jupiter's radio emissions bounce off the sun and come out millions of times stronger. If Red Coast aims its signal at the sun will amplify it and blast it across the galaxy. She works out the math. Yang Wening, the chief engineer and now her husband, takes the idea to the political commissar, Lei, and here's where politics ruin everything. Commissar Lei asks who the red sun is in the heart of the people. That would be Chairman Mao. So aiming a radio beam at the red sun, that's political suicide. Lei kills the idea on the spot and warns them they could all be executed for even suggesting it. But Wenjie doesn't care about politics anymore. She sends the transmission anyway, alone, in secret, aiming directly at the sun. Around the same time, we get a flashback of young Wenjie meeting a young American named Mike Evans. He's living alone in the Chinese countryside, planting trees by hand to save a subspecies of bird from extinction. He's the heir to the biggest private oil company on the planet, but he's out here planting saplings because he says thousands of species are going extinct every year thanks to human greed. Wenjie recognizes a line from Silent Spring, the same book that got her thrown in prison. These two broken idealists find each other. Remember this moment, it's gonna have consequences. Back in the present, Da Shi keeps digging into Mike Evans. Turns out old Evans has been funding all sorts of anti-science garbage, anti-vax propaganda, 5G conspiracy theories, anti-science politicians around the world. Da Shi also connects Evans to the 1977 WOW signal, a 72-second radio burst detected by Ohio State University that looked like an attempt at alien communication. Nobody outside Ohio detected it, except one observatory in northeast China. And guess where Evans was living in 1977? Yeah, that's going to be a problem. Finally, we reach the moment. Back at the Red Coast, years after Wenjie's secret transmission, she's on her overnight monitoring shift when something comes through. A message from out there, an alien, claiming to be a pacifist, warning her not to respond. Begging, actually, 3 times over. Because if she answers, they will come, and they will conquer Earth. But here's the thing. Wenjie has watched her father be beaten to death. She's been betrayed by her own mother. She confronted the woman who killed her dad, Tang Hongjing, and that woman looked her in the eye and said, "Even now I would scythe him like wheat." No remorse, no repentance, nobody repents. So Wenjie sits down at the terminal and sends a message that dooms the entire human race. Come, we cannot save ourselves. I will help you conquer this world. And just like that, it's done. One woman, broken by everything humanity did to her, just invited an alien civilization to take over the planet. Or does it?
Oh, it does. And a lot of people are going to die because of it. But first, the VR game. Jin and Snack King have been grinding this thing hard. They enter level 2 together. Jin as Copernicus and Jack as Sir Francis Bacon. The setting is Tudor England. There's a pope. There's an emperor. And Jin finally cracks the big puzzle. She makes observations of the sun's size, luminosity, and position, and realizes the game world doesn't orbit one sun. It orbits 3. A 3-body star system. That's why the eras are unpredictable. When the planet gets caught in one sun's gravity, things are stable. When all 3 suns pull at it, chaos. The game confirms she's right. Civilization 152 is still destroyed, but Jin solved the structure. On to level 3. Level 3 drops them in Xanadu, at the court of Kublai Khan. Here, Isaac Newton and Alan Turing show up with the wildest flex in the whole show. They've built a human computer. 30 million soldiers standing in formation, each one holding a flag. Ones and zeros. It's a living calculator, and it actually works. It predicts a chaotic era. The soldiers dehydrate. When they rehydrate 8 months later, the prediction was right. But Jin knows something Newton and Turing don't. The 3-body problem has no general solution. Their computer might work short-term, but long-term, impossible. She tries to explain this and gets sentenced to be boiled alive. Then all 3 suns line up in a syzygy, and the gravitational pull tears civilization apart, again. But this failure actually wins them the game. Jin realizes the point was never about solving the math. It was about saving the people. Survival is the mission. If one of us survives, we all survive. Level 4 unlocked. Meanwhile, the real world is falling apart. Augie, still rattled from shutting down her lab, tries turning the reaction chamber back on just to test if the countdown was real. It comes back immediately. She calls Saul in a panic, saying she finally understands why the scientists have been killing themselves. Saul races over. Level 4 is a wasteland, no civilization left. Follower appears one last time and delivers the truth. The game world is real. The Santee are an alien species from a 3-body star system 4 light years away. Their planet is doomed. Every civilization ends in destruction. So they built a fleet of 1,000 ships and aimed them at Earth. They're on their way. We can't wait to meet you. Jin is stunned. Snack King, he calls the whole thing a scam and storms out, because apparently being told aliens are real is where he draws the line. Jin stays because what other explanation accounts for the flickering stars, the broken accelerators, the countdown, and the impossible VR technology? None. And then Snack King dies. They find him in his house, dehydrated, flattened, just like the game characters. His body looks like it was pressed through a machine. The VR headset did this. The same headset that was collecting biometric data, retinal scans, brainwaves, oxygen levels the entire time. Ice-cold Wade figures it out. It's a recruitment tool. Whoever built it is targeting the smartest scientists on the planet, screening them while they play. Snack King didn't want to be recruited, so they killed him. Evan reviews the roster of the London summit and asks about Jack. What happened to Rooney? His assistant doesn't blink. He didn't work out. Cold. Just cold. Over on Evan's ship, the Judgment Day, we see what this tree-hugger turned doomsday cult leader has been up to. Evans is sitting in his cabin, reading fairy tales to the Santee through some communication device. Specifically, he's reading Little Red Riding Hood, and the Santee cannot wrap their heads around it. Why would the wolf pretend to be the grandmother? Why would he hide his intentions? The Santee communicate through transparent thought. When they think something, everyone knows it. They have no concept of deception, no concept of lying. None. Evan tries to explain metaphors, stories, fiction. The Santee just can't process it. They ask if the story is basically a lie about a liar. Then they decide that liars can't be trusted, and they refuse to coexist with a species that deceives. We are afraid of you. The Santee go silent. Evan panics. He's been filtering the Santee's communications for years, controlling what they learn about humanity and what Wenjie knows about them. He's running his own agenda from that ship, and now the aliens he's been cuddling up to just realize that every human being on the planet can lie. Yeah, that's going to be a problem. We see how Evans and Wenjie reconnected years after their first meeting. She told him about the Santee, and he was all in. The Earth Trisolaris organization around this secret. He took Wenjie to the Judgment Day, set up a transmission center, and told her the Santee have been trying to reach her ever since her original message. The aliens are on their way, and it's all because of her. Back in the present, Dashi sends Jin undercover to the ETO summit. His instructions are simple. Keep your mouth shut, listen to everything, and get out without anyone noticing. Jin goes in, and what she finds is basically a doomsday cult. People worship the Santee as their lord. They believe the aliens will fix everything humanity has broken. Then the founder walks on stage. It's Wenjie, Vera's mother, the woman who gave Jin the VR headset. She invited the Santee to Earth because humanity is beyond saving. We keep destroying each other and the world around us, she says, and nothing has changed. The Santee are coming to share their knowledge. It'll take 400 years, and this organization's job is to prepare humanity for their arrival. Dashi raids the summit. Wenjie is captured. Evans escapes back to the Judgment Day. During interrogation, Wenjie drops a chilling line. She wasn't caught because Dashi was clever. She was caught because the Santee let it happen. She's no longer useful to them. And Evans has been filtering the communications the whole time, controlling the flow of information between two civilizations. Wade locates Evans' ship, a Panamax oil tanker in the Mediterranean, 200 miles north of Alexandria. Could be 1,000 people living on it. Dashi asks if they should move in. Wade says, no, we wait. For what? Trust me, you don't want to know. What Wade is waiting for is a way to crack open Evans' ship and steal every scrap of data about the Santee. Problem is, the Judgment Day is a floating fortress with potentially over 1,000 people on board. A boarding party means a bloodbath and destroyed hard drives. A missile strike blows up the data along with the ship. Gas won't work on a vessel with too many air vents. Every option is a non-starter. But Dashi finds out that the Judgment Day just booked a transit slot through the Panama Canal, and that's when the plan comes together. Dashi visits Augie in the safe house where she, Jin, and Saul are hiding out. He asks her to restart production on the nanofiber. Augie is not having it. She reminds him that the last time she was working, something planted a countdown bomb in her brain. Dashi doesn't deny any of that. He just says he needs her help, and they have one shot to stop these people. Augie asks what nanofiber could possibly do against them. Dashi can't tell her, he just needs her to trust him. Meanwhile, Ice-Cold Wade recruits Navy boy Raj for the engineering side of the operation. Wade tests Raj by asking him what he thinks of the Royal Navy's newest destroyer. Raj, being Raj, tears the ship apart, calls it a billion-pound relic designed for the wrong century, and says he'd spend the money on drones instead. Wade hires him on the spot. This guy is cold, brilliant, and exactly the kind of person Wade collects. On the Judgment Day, Evans is desperate. The Santee have gone silent ever since they learned that humans can lie. Evans begs them to speak again, insisting he never lied to them. Nothing. Radio silence from the aliens he built his entire life around. Wade's team strings Augie's nanofiber across the narrowest point of the Panama Canal, between two towers. Invisible wires stretch from bank to bank. The fibers are so thin you can't see them. So strong they can slice through steel, concrete, pipe, and bone without slowing down. Augie doesn't know how many people are on that ship. She asks Raj. He doesn't know either. She pushes him on it, asking if he understands they're about to kill people they've never met, and for reasons nobody fully explained to them. Raj pauses and says he thinks they're at war. The ship enters the canal. It passes through the wires. And the Judgment Day, fans open like a deck of cards. The nanofiber slices through everything. Steel, walls, furniture, people. Over 1,000 people on board sliced apart in seconds. Evans is cut in half mid-sentence, still begging his silent lord for forgiveness. The canal pilot, an innocent man required to be on board, dies too. Wade knew he would. He didn't care. When Augie asks about the pilot beforehand, Wade responds by talking about how many people died building the canal and asks which is more important, a canal or defeating an enemy invasion. That's just who this man is. Augie watches the whole thing. Her life's work, the technology she spent 7 years perfecting for water filtration and medical science, just killed over 1,000 people. Dashi congratulates her. She doesn't say a word. But the data drives survive. That was the whole point. The nanofiber was positioned to slice through the ship while keeping the drives intact. There's just one problem. The data is encrypted with something way beyond human capability. Wade's tech team can't crack it. They estimate the median decryption time at 3.8 trillion years. Dashi suggests they physically crack it open. The tech guy says that's insane. Then 2 weeks into the standoff, the drive just opens on its own. The Santee unlocked it. They wanted humanity to see what was inside. And what's inside changes everything. The recording confirms what Wenjie suspected. Evans had been filtering communication for years, playing gatekeeper between two civilizations, hiding things from both sides to run his own agenda. Dashi plays the recording for Wenjie. She hears Evans teaching the Santee about lying. She hears them say they're afraid of humans. She hears the silence after. But that's not the big reveal. Wade brings Jin to a secure location and hands her a VR headset recovered from the Judgment Day data. They put it on together and a figure appears. A woman. Not human, just wearing a human face. She introduces herself as a representative of the Santee, and she explains why humanity is doomed. The Santee's fleet will take 400 years to reach Earth, but here's the thing. Humans went from hunting to farming in 90,000 years. From farming to industry in 10,000. From industry to atomic power in 200. Computers in 50. The Santee took way longer for each of those jumps because their three-sun system kept wiping out their civilization. In 400 years, humanity will be so far ahead of the Santee that we'll swat their fleet like it's nothing, and then come back and wipe out their homeworld for good. So the Santee built something to stop us. Sophons. They took a single proton, unfolded its hidden higher dimensions into something the size of a planet, turned it into a sentient supercomputer, then folded it back down to proton size. They made 4 of them, sent 2 to Earth at near light speed, and parked them inside every particle accelerator on the planet. That's why the experiments are producing garbage data. That's why physics is broken. The Sophons are scrambling the results. They are killing human science so we can never catch up. And that's not all. The Sophons can see and hear everything. Every conversation, every screen, every secret. The only thing they can't do is read minds. They are everywhere, always watching. The figure in the headset tells Jin directly that they will wrap her world in illusions, replace truth with miracles, and teach humanity how to fear again. Then she vanishes. And then the sky changes. A giant eye appears overhead. Every screen on Earth flashes the same message. 3 words that hit every human being on the planet at the same time. You are bugs. That's it. That's the Santee's message to all humanity. You don't matter. You're insects, and we're coming. Augie saw those words. Jin saw them. Saul saw them. Every person on Earth saw them, and nobody knows what to do next.
The world loses its mind. Riots in every major city, mass panic, military deployments, curfews. The NHS declares a mental health emergency. Religious cults spring up worshiping the Santee as saviors. People are hanging from lampposts along the Thames. And this is all over 3 words on a screen. 400 years away and humanity is already tearing itself apart. The Santee didn't even have to show up. Jin visits Wenjie in custody and finally lets her have it. Why did Vera have to die? Why did Jack have to die? Wenjie eventually speaks. She saw what the Cultural Revolution did to China and believed nothing had changed. Humanity keeps destroying everything. She was willing to risk the entire species on the hope that the Santee would fix what humans couldn't. But after seeing the eye in the sky, even Wenjie admits the plan fell apart.
The Santi learn that humans lie and deceive, and now they're too afraid to coexist with us. Jin calls Wenjie a traitor. Wenjie asks how Jin wants to be remembered instead. Jin's answer is simple, as someone who fought back, and fight back she does. Ice-cold Wade sets up a planetary defense council at a remote manor, far from the riots and chaos. He gathers the best scientists on the planet and basically tells them to deal with it. The Santi are real. They've declared war, and he plans on fighting back. He also points out something important. The Santi only have 2 Sophons, and those Sophons can't read minds. Those are the only advantages humanity has. Jin proposes the Staircase Project. The idea is nuclear pulse propulsion, an old concept from the 1940s. You line up a series of nuclear bombs in space stretching from Earth toward the Santi fleet. A lightweight probe with a radiation sail passes each bomb in sequence, and each detonation accelerates it faster, like climbing steps on a staircase. After about 1,000 explosions, the probe hits 1% light speed and intercepts the fleet in roughly 200 years. The scientists push back hard. Untested, zero margin for error, treaty violations, trillions in cost. Jin shuts them down. Treaties can be amended. Someone else can figure out the money. Wade backs her, saying it's the first proposal he's heard that gets them to 1% in their lifetime. But there's a problem. They only secure 300 bombs instead of the 1,000 they need, which limits the payload to under 2 kilograms. Way too light for a hibernation pod. Way too light for anything else, unless you don't send a whole person. Wade proposes sending just a brain, cryogenically preserved, frozen in the same way his team demonstrated on a monkey. The idea is that the Santi will intercept the probe and be curious enough to reconstruct the person. If they do, humanity has a spy inside enemy territory, someone who knows what it's like to be human, who can observe the fleet, who can learn things no telescope could ever show. They need someone who understands physics, who's willing to die, and who's probably dying already. Everyone in the room knows who Wade is talking about. Lovesick Will volunteers. He's dying of pancreatic cancer anyway. His time is running out, and this gives his death meaning. Jin and Saul are devastated. Saul tries desperately to talk Will out of it, painting the darkest possible picture. Maybe the aliens rebuild him and just use him as an interrogation subject in an isolation tank, pumping questions in, pulling answers out. Maybe they study what makes humans suffer. Maybe they push him past every limit, and when he breaks, they just bring him back and do it again. For a century, for 10,000 years. Saul's voice cracks as he says it. Will listens to all of it. Then he asks Saul what his favorite movie is. Saul says The Shining. Will just smiles. The goodbye scene between them is gut-wrenching. Will says he never had many friends, but the ones he had always felt like enough. Saul tells him he's going to miss him. Will's response? If they bring him back, he'll miss Saul too. Meanwhile, Will pulls off one last beautiful, stupid secret move. Using the 20 million pounds Snack King left him in his will, Will buys Jin a star. Star DX3906, a faint red star visible to the naked eye. Purchased through the Stars Our Destination fundraiser for $19.5 million. He makes Saul swear never to tell Jin it was him. Saul, being Saul, thinks this is insane. Will doesn't care. He wanted her to look up at the sky someday and say, that one is mine, and she'll never know why. Augie, meanwhile, makes her choice. She can't keep working for Wade, not after what her nanofibers did at the Panama Canal. She designs the solar sail for the staircase probe, finishes the engineering work, and then walks away. She takes her nanofiber technology to Latin America to build clean water systems for the people who need it most. No more weapons, no more war. And then there's Wenjie. Released from custody, she travels back to the greater Cixin Mountains, to the place where the Red Coast base used to stand. She knows what's coming. She even tells the Sophons directly that she has an idea or two left in her, and that centuries from now, there may be a fair fight. But before any of that can matter, Psycho Tatiana shows up. The Santi sent her. Wenjie isn't surprised. She asks to sit and watch one last sunset from the mountains. Tatiana agrees. The two of them sit side by side, looking out over the landscape where everything started. Then Tatiana pushes Wenjie off the cliff. The woman who started it all is gone, but not before she planted one last seed. Earlier that day, Wenjie met Saul at Vera's grave and told him a joke about Einstein meeting God. The Sophons saw them talking, but couldn't read Saul's mind to know what Wenjie actually said. And whatever she told him in that joke is important enough that the Santi will soon try to kill him for it. That seed is going to grow. It grows fast. Saul hooks up with a woman named Nora. The next morning, as she walks to her Uber, 3 autonomous cars get hacked at the same time and slam into each other right where she's standing. Nora dies. The hit was meant for Saul. A kid on a skateboard bumped into him seconds before impact, and that's the only reason he's alive. Dashi shows up and explains. The cars were under autonomous control. Someone or something hacked into all 3 onboard computers seconds before the crash. After Wenjie spoke to Saul at the graveyard, she was murdered in China. Now someone is trying to kill Saul too. Whatever Wenjie planted in his head, the Santi want it gone. Dashi hands Saul a bulletproof vest and drives him to the United Nations in New York. Saul has no idea what's happening. He's a stoner physicist who hasn't accomplished anything notable. He's confused, scared, and very much not dressed for what comes next. The Secretary General of the United Nations announces the Wallfacer project. Since the Sophons can see and hear everything but cannot read minds, the UN has selected 3 people to develop secret defense plans entirely inside their heads. No sharing with anyone, no explaining their actions, unlimited resources, total authority, 3 people carrying humanity's survival in their skulls. The first 2 Wallfacers make sense: General Ho Bolin, a legendary military strategist, Professor Layla Eric, a war hero who fought and won asymmetric battles. Then the Secretary General says the third name, Saul Durand. Saul, standing in the back of the room in street clothes, looking like he wandered in off the sidewalk. A low-level research assistant with no major publications, no military background, no obvious qualifications. He asks the Secretary General why him. She says the enemy knows why. That's it. That's the answer. The Santi are afraid of something Wenjie put in his head, and nobody, including Saul, knows what it is. Saul refuses. He rejects the title, the powers, everything. He storms out of the building, and the second he steps outside, a sniper shoots him in the chest. Dashi's bulletproof vest saves his life. The shooter, an ETO operative who later apologizes for not hitting his head. Yep, they're still out there. Meanwhile, Jin preps for the staircase launch at Cape Canaveral. She fights Wade to include a small pouch of seeds in the capsule alongside Will's brain. Corn, wheat, chili pepper. Wade says every milligram counts, and the seeds will slow the probe down. Jin threatens to resign. Wade gives in. Those seeds weigh 18 grams, and they might be the most human thing about this whole mission. Launch day. Cape Canaveral. The rocket goes up, the sail deploys, the first nuclear detonation fires, and the probe accelerates to 57 kilometers per second. Second detonation, 68. Third, 80. It's working. Jin watches the numbers climb. Dashi watches Jin. For a moment, everything is perfect. Then the trajectory starts to deviate. Something went wrong. A parachute string snapped, and the probe veered wildly off course. Will's brain is now drifting through space on a random heading. Based on his final trajectory, it'll be 6,000 years before he passes another star. Maybe 5 million before he leaves the Milky Way. The staircase project is a failure. Jin is shattered. She sits in the mission control aftermath, knowing that the man who secretly loved her for a decade is now floating alone through frozen space. Not alive, and not dead. And she never told him she loved him back. On his flight home, ice-cold Wade gets a visitor. Sophon, the Santi's avatar, appears on his plane. First on the TV screen, then physically manifesting in the cabin right next to him. She tells Wade that the staircase project failed, and that the Santi would have liked to meet Will Downing. She says there will be a place for Wade when they arrive, that he's part of their plan. Then the chilling promise. Every room he enters, they'll already be there waiting. Whatever they want him to see, he will see, until the day he dies. Wade doesn't flinch. He plans to go into cryogenic hibernation, waking up for 1 week every year, fixing problems, hiring people, firing people, and going back under, for 400 years. Someone has to be there when the Santi arrive. Someone has to keep the plan on track. His motto? Only advance. And then there's Augie, down in Latin America installing nanofiber water filters in a village hit by a dysentery epidemic. No weapons, no warships, no slicing through anything, just clean water for people who need it. She filters everything: pesticides, parasites, bacteria, viruses. The epidemic ends. This is what she built her technology for. This is where she belongs. The final scene, Dashi drives Jin and Saul through the Florida swamp. They're both wrecked. Jin says what everyone's thinking. They're slow, they're outmatched, and they die easy. They're bugs. Dashi pulls the car over. He points out the window at swarms of insects covering everything in sight. Humans have been trying to get rid of bugs forever, he says. We spray pesticides from planes, we put poison in the ground, we sterilize them, we swat them, zap them, step on them. Then he tells them to look around. The bugs are still there. They're not going anywhere. Dashi pulls out a bottle of rum, raises it, and offers a toast for the bugs. Then he puts the car in gear and says the only thing left to say: we've got work to do. And that's the entire first season of 3 Body Problem. If you think that's wild, the books get way crazier from here. Alright guys, that's all I've got. If you enjoy this, smash the subscribe button, drop a comment, and I'll catch you on the next one.